Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast. This Week in America. Shattered Left-Hand Justice series by Ann Beck is a fast-moving story of love, suspense, government espionage with plenty of twists and turns. It will keep you guessing with an exciting plot. With a strong female lead that has a true strong outside, deeply troubled inside, the male lead truly what an alpha male should be like. He has set his sights on her, and nothing she says will stop him from her or to protect her. Anne grew up in the Pacific Northwest. She's a mom, a grandmother. She'll tell anyone that her first book has a lot of her in it. Anne is a true romantic when it comes to writing her books. She likes to make the characters real with the same problems we all might have, but with a twist. She's also the author of 2 other books in the Left-Hand Justice series, Safe Surrender and Secondhand Love. When she's not working 40-plus hour a week job, you might find her working in the garden or spending time with her family, if not at the keyboard, pounding out the next book. Ann Beck, author of Shattered Left-Hand Justice series, is our guest on This Week in America. And welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak of my passion of writing and bringing stories to life.
And you really do. How long have you had this passion? Because you're really good at this. I love the books. I love the response the books are getting. What gives you the inspiration, especially for writing this series, the Left-Hand Justice series?
Well, really, since I was in high school, but unfortunately life, got in the way of that between, family, working and all this. And it was just not until a few years ago that something came over me, and this book was written almost by itself. I was just the vessel that pounded it away. But no, this was a very fast-moving story that I couldn't seem to stop writing, and it just overpowered me at times with emotions on top of it. But there is a lot of me in this, and I bring forth some troubling things of my childhood into it, and just kind of flipped it around and used that to create a story of pure fantasy, really.
Well, it's interesting. So basically, when I ask how long have you been writing this book, basically you're telling me your entire life. This has sort of been life experiences, and all of a sudden they come bursting out, and it's time to sit down and write Shattered.
Absolutely. In fact, Shattered has a embedded message inside of it, and the message is that of watch what you say to your children, because we can, as moms, dads, and even grandparents, can shape children at an early age, whether it's a positive message you give them or a negative. And so the story came from the negative that I was bombarded with as a child, and to grow with it. And the character seems to be very tough on the outside, but inside she is very fragile, very shattered, to say the least. And that's where that story came from.
Well, and the book is Shattered, Left-Hand Justice series by Ann Beck, our guest on the program. You'll find the book at Amazon, the usual places. We'll give you Ann's website throughout the program. And you can find that, of course, by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and linking on directly. What's interesting in reading all the reviews, this is a good romance story, but it's much more than that, isn't it? You've developed some characters that we all can relate to because they're very believable characters, and as you mentioned there is a message in the book as well.
Yeah, every one of my books has a message. Some are very embedded, and you kind of have to dig through it to figure out what the message is, and some just pop right out. But I try and put some type of message in each of my books. And, the series has 5. I have 2 more that are in edit that I need to get out. But these first 3 definitely have messages in them. The first 3 books were were not easy to write because I had so much I want to put into it, and sometimes the story came at me so fast that I couldn't type fast enough. So, it was just crazy. I'd have to jump back from the keyboard and shake my hands out and just say, okay. So
slow down.
It was very interesting. Oh yeah.
Well, as a reader, go ahead, finish that thought, please.
Well, one of the things that I always do when I'm writing is I always have music on. depending on what part of the book I'm working on, depends on what type of music I have. Sometimes it's the classic, soft, classical jazz. Other times it's hardcore rock or even goth, depending on what I'm doing. And it helps me set the tone and helps me set the mood and helps my creative juices kind of flow a little bit more. Well, and I see my books in a movie theater in the back of my mind. There's no sound, and I'm just seeing images, and that's how I write.
Well, it's very visual. I was going to mention that. I see this being a movie or a series. What we're talking about is Shattered, part of the Left Hand Justice series by Ann Beck, our guest on the program. The book, from a reading standpoint, is just a one more chapter tonight type of book where you really don't want to put it down. And it sounds like as an author, that's sort of what you went through. You needed to write one more chapter every night before you shut off the computer for the night.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it was 2 o'clock in the morning when I decided I need to get some sleep. But the interesting thing was my second book, Safe Surrender. The person who helped me edit it, she said that the last chapter, she couldn't edit the last chapter because she had to read it. And by the time she got done with it, she didn't realize that she bit her side of her cheek because of suspense in that last chapter. And then she says, okay, now I can edit. So that was a little thing that her and I kind of laughed over and talked about and stuff. And she said she could tell how emotional I was in it is by the reading or the writing of it, because it was just flowed. But yet she would need to put in the grammar and the punctuation and all those things that, are important besides the creativity.
Well, there's that type of emotion that has gone into the book Shattered, a Left Hand Justice series. Ann Beck, our guest on the program. What are the plans for the future? It sounds like you've got that pretty well mapped out. You've got this series you're writing. What are some of the thoughts for a future? You've started this now as a writer. You can't quit. You've got to keep giving us more. What are your plans?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I mentioned, I have 2 other books in the series that are in edit form. One is Sweet Forbidden Love, and if you'll notice, all of my series books start with the letter S. And then the very last one was Save Our Love. And those are in edit form that I need to get edited, by my editor. But then I have another book that I have been writing for the last couple of years, and it's completely different. It's not even in a series. And, I think I'm on my last chapter, but it's just not quite coming together like I'm wanting. But I do have 2 other paranormal romance actions that I have been working on off and on. So I do kind of jump around depending on the mood and what inspires me. But, right now, I'm working a 40-plus hour week, taking care of an aging father, and just very little time to write right now. So, yeah. I'm a busy person.
Well, spending a lot of nights at 2 o'clock in the morning at the keyboard because you just can't quit. The story's flowing and you've got to stay at the keyboard and keep typing. When you started off with the Left Hand Justice series, well, first of all, did you know it was going to be a series? Did you have that concept in mind, or did it just become a series as you were telling these stories?
It kind of came as a series as I was developing the first book, because I saw these characters that were evolved around 5 different men. But I wanted to also give those men women that would complement them, but not weak, but yet give the impression that they do need, that man in their life one way or the other. And so there were 5 main characters. And so that's why I chose 5 in the book series.
Well, it's interesting because as you read the reviews, people like the characters individually and they like them together. And you get to thinking sometimes you come across a book where a character really stands out but doesn't really fit in with the whole ensemble cast that you're writing about. Talk about the challenges of making these all strong characters but having them all fit together so nicely.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, all of the books intertwine, but they are all. But each book is a standalone. But if you start from one, it kind of leads to the next. And I try in the end of each book, except for the last one, kind of give some type of clue that there's something coming to the next book. And so that's kind of my way of mapping it out. I don't map this out like some people do on a whiteboard or a storyboard. This all comes to me in the moment. and it's just how I create. I don't see it. I've tried that, and it doesn't work. And I never force my writing because it never works.
Well, it's interesting. Do you ever find yourself at 2 a.m. thinking, when I started this at 8, I had no idea Tesla was going to do this? Do sometimes the characters take you in a different direction than you're even thinking they're going to go?
Absolutely. In fact, the strange thing about it was my third book, my computer crashed, and I had not saved it to a flash drive. So I literally had to start over with that one.
Oh, wow.
And I will say that the third one, the second version of it, I felt was much better. I mean, it wasn't as strong as the first two, but the plot was much better.
Talk about that. I mentioned the fact that people love the romance and the suspense in there as well, and you've got all of that in Shattered. Talk about that and the exciting plot, and you pull us into the plot, and you keep us guessing, and there are the twists and turns as well. Does that just sort of evolve, or is that sort of in the beginning you've got maybe a rough idea of where this is going to go?
Well, I want to be able to keep it as a page turner, and the only way to do that is to give it some plots and some twists and turns, and have the reader say, "Oh, I did not see that coming." I want to be able to have that reader engaged. I want them to say, "I can't put this book down. I want to talk about this book. Hey, this book you need to read." And so, giving the plot something that is evolving and moving, but also having the characters engaging, so that reader does engage with them. And I've had a couple of people say, they're madly in love with, the main character. And, so it makes my heart sing when I hear people say that. So.
Shattered is the book we're talking about, and we'll give you information here in a second on all of the books, and you'll find Shattered, of course, Amazon, the usual places, Anne's website as well, Anne Beck, and that's Anne, A-N-E, A-N-N-E, Anne Beck. Left Hand Justice series, book available at the usual places. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, link on it, and get more information. When you started this, why romance? It sounds like this is something you've been thinking about for years. What drew you to the romance aspect, that genre?
Well, I read it constantly myself when I'm not doing other things, but not just romance, but I wanted to put some action into it. I don't want it all be romance. This is not 50 Shades of Grey. This is a different type, that there is some action going on. You'll find that the main character, Tesla, she knows her stuff. She can wield a gun. She knows black arts or black belt. So yeah, it definitely is a very strong character, but you read into it that she has this protection, this shield around her because of her past life. And the male lead on here, Logan, has seen past that and sees a very troubled, very crippled inside woman. And he is so drawn to her. But it's just interesting how this plot just kind of evolved. And I just wanted to bring romance. I want to bring action. There's conspiracy in here. There is just lots of things in here going on.
It's fun.
And I will say, it'll make a great movie if anybody wants to help produce it.
It really will. And you read the reviews, and they all talk about, boy, I can visualize going into a big screen and watching this evolve, and the story and the characters. It's all there in Shattered, Left Hand Justice series. Anne Beck, our guest on the program. Let's talk about social media. People want to follow you, and you're all over the place on social media. What's the best way to follow you and to get in contact with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I follow all those. And I'm constantly doing and posting and giving tidbits. And for me, I have to find a photo or a image of my characters, and sometimes when I see that image, that is what that character looks like in my mind when I am writing. And I try and save those and put those in some type of file or folder so that I can visually see that when I'm writing. And so this one story that I've been working on for a couple of years, it's really set in Dallas, Texas area. And definitely it has wealth, it has, suspense, it has twists and turns, it has it all over the place. And that one, I brought up images of what I think those two characters should look like, and that's what my book looks like in my mind.
That's
so
fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love the process where you actually see these people. This is not just people you're sort of like trying to pull up in your mind. These are people, these are like real life people. You got pictures of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the whole thing is when I, visualize the place they're in, I try and give it color. I kind of give it texture. I kind of give it, a depth that people see. And when I am explaining or describing the house that Logan lives in, I in my mind's eye, I'm there. So and that's just how I write.
Did you ever think you'd have this much fun creating books and getting the feedback that you're getting from the people that are reading? Did you ever think it was going to be this much fun? Boy, I can tell your passion just jumping through the phone here. This has to be a fun time of life for you. Who needs sleep when you can stay at the computer and keep writing these stories?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the day that my first book was publicized, I was over the moon.
Oh, yes.
I skipped into work. I had my first copy, and I was just beaming. And I started talking about it, and it was kind of on a bucket list. I did this, And so when my second one was done, I was just as excited. But when my third came around, I'm going, okay, let's see how much success we can have with this. And I just continued to write. So, yeah, I'm very passionate about it. I want to bring that out. And I am a true romantic by heart. Moonlight, candlelight, those type of things.
Yes, well, it shows in the writing. The series is the Left Hand Justice series, Shattered, what we're talking about. The other books in the series, Safe Surrender and Second Chance Love. Books available at Amazon, the usual places. And what's your website? Because they can get some information on the books and you on the website as well.
I'm trying to remember my website number.
I actually have it here. Let me try.
Because I'm sitting in my backyard right now, enjoying a little bit of shade and outdoor.
I don't blame you.
Back to work.
The website, and it's a long one. It's Beck.wixsite, wixsite.com/mysite/books. And you're not going to remember that, but I tell you, if you go to our website, you'll find it. It'll be listed there along with Amazon. That will take you to where the books are available and Anne's website to get all of the information. And better yet, you can do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. You'll get all that information, how you can get in contact with Anne and follow her. Who were some of your inspirations as you were reading before you actually got involved in being a published author yourself? Who were some of those that, you couldn't wait for their new book to come out?
Oh, geez. I know Barbara Taylor Bradford was one that I enjoyed.
Oh, yes.
Of course, Jackie Collins was another one I enjoyed, but Nora Roberts was another one. So some of the big hitters out there was probably it.
Yeah, that sounds like our bookshelf, our library here at home. My wife has all of those lined up there, and I think I've talked to a couple of those authors over the course of a few years as well. You're unique in the way you go about this, in the stories that you tell. If someone hasn't read an Anne Beck book yet, what would you tell them that's different? Why you think what you're doing is really going to be an enjoyable read for them?
Oh, I guess because I bring a story to life. I bring characters to life. These are not characters are perfect. These characters have flaws, just like we as people have flaws.
Yes.
And you can actually feel that character and say, I really like that character. And it's a believable one. And some of the stories, are definitely, I can see that happening. That is a now. This is not in the past. And it just takes them out of their lives and gives them a glimpse of something else. And when I read, I would read some stories that were actually historical stories, that kind of took me out of my dull life and put me into parts of the world that I've never been.
Well, it's interesting. You do a little travel mentally as you're reading these, and it's a great escape because, boy, the world's coming at us 110 miles an hour. It's nice just to escape and get into somebody else's world that's so well described that we actually feel like we're standing next to them watching as all of these adventures unfold, what's going on in their lives. Ann Beck is our guest on the program. The book is Shattered, Left Hand Justice series. It's one of 3 that's now available. Shattered, and also available Safe Surrender, Second Chance Love. Other books in the pipeline that should be out soon, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about those as well. And it's been a pleasure. I love the passion you're bringing to the stories, and it's resonating. The listener, the viewer, the reader, they're all there. I say the viewer because they want to see these here unfold in a movie screen sometime, and hopefully that will happen. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I hope everybody has a great day.
You as well. And again, the books are available at Amazon. Ann's website we'll have up on our website as well, thisweekinamerica.us. We're back on today's program after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.